Statism, in my own words, is when authoritarians feel like they have the right to take ownership over your life and all its assets. This includes your property, your money, what you can and can't put in your body, which plants you can grow, how you live, if you choose to voluntarily feed the homeless. There are many more, but these are just a small few. Statism is a religion. It's not just any religion. It's a religion which brainwashes and destroys society. They pray to a flag. They worship this so-called freedom without even realizing how enslaved and unfree they really are. Statists believe that as a people, we are unable to govern ourselves. Therefore, we need government to make our decisions for us. But what about us? The ones who want to govern ourselves. The ones who believe morality should be what decisions are based on. The ones who don't want government to make our decisions. We don't need government to protect us from ourselves. We as a people have a right to self-ownership, but in the government's eyes, we are all slaves. The government is the most immoral force out there. The politicians lie. They start war for profit. They imprison people by the masses. They steal from you, and if you resist, they resort to violence. They brainwash you through the mainstream media. Today, people look at the news like it's the truth. They argue over which news station is better, when in reality, they're all the same. It's the government's way of dividing people right down the middle into two sides, left wing and right wing. They give people the illusion that voting really counts, but does it really? Voting is kept so absolutely private that it is very well possible that the politician is already pre-selected. And why wouldn't it be based on the popular vote? The whole system doesn't make sense. Do you believe all human interactions should be voluntary? Well, I do. The government doesn't. The government forces the idea that authority is good and is very much needed. They do a lot of this through the mainstream media by always making the police look like the good guys. Now I get caught up in this certain argument with a lot of people, and that argument is, are there any good police out there? Most people say yes. Some people say most of them are good, and I say there is no such thing as a good cop. Then people get really defensive and try and argue and say, how so? Well, if any cop was good, don't you think they would fight against unjust laws? Don't you think they would be arresting all the corrupt politicians and corrupt officers? Don't you think they would learn how to defend themselves without their first move always being their gun? Don't you think they would focus on what is morally right? And don't you think they would stand with the people instead of lying to, stealing from, and objectifying them? Most people have been brainwashed to think that obeying all laws is a moral obligation. It starts from a very young age. In school, they are taught to follow orders like good little slaves and to do so without questioning authority. And if they question authority, then they get in trouble and the teachers see it as if the child is talking back and being disruptive. Now let's get a look at the school system, how it's made up. I'll relate it to a government makeup. You have the teachers, which would be the governors. You have the principal, which would be the president. You have the school board and superintendent, who would be the corporations that make the president's decisions for them. You see what I mean? The belief in government starts from a very early age, and in almost every case, it starts with the parents before the child even starts school. I've been asked before, if you don't believe in government, then what do you believe in? My answer was, I believe in freedom. I believe in owning myself. I believe in doing what is morally right rather than doing what is legal. People seem to get offended when I say how I feel about belief in government. Now let's take a look at an awful word. That word is authority. The textbook definition of authority is the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. Let's break that down a little bit. What gives someone the right to give orders? Absolutely nothing. What if that order was something morally wrong? Well, I guarantee that most of the population would just go along with what was ordered rather than actually thinking for themselves and questioning this illusion of authority. Also in the definition, it says the words enforce obedience. So it pretty much said that we are slaves under authority if there is a need to enforce obedience. Enforcing is a term using violence to achieve compliance. Most people get the meaning of anarchy completely wrong, and this is mainly because of the mainstream media always using the term in regards to chaos. If you look up the definition of anarchy on Google, the first thing that comes up is a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority. And underneath that, Some of the synonyms are words like chaos, mayhem, turmoil. And to me, that definition in itself is saying that without an authoritarian structure, that people will be unable to watch after themselves. People believe that government authority has their best interest at heart. Let me tell you something. The government doesn't give a shit about you. They monitor everything you do. This includes internet searches, text communications. The government loves that such a huge part of the population is incarcerated too, because it makes them look good. Oh, well, they are arresting these criminals and making it safe for us, they think. Let me ask you something. Does a non-violent pot smoker deserve to be in prison? The government will do anything to control and steal from the people while at the same time giving the illusion that they are free. Remember that. You are not free. Thank you.